Happy Tuesday, folks, and welcome back to WrestleRant, where every single Tuesday I break down all the pay-per-views and live specials I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're taking a bit of a break from the NXT reviews to talk about No Mercy 2016 in preparation for No Mercy this coming Sunday, presented by the Raw brand. So if you haven't already, check out all my other reviews of the past installments of No Mercy from 1999, the UK version, the WWE United States version, whatever. There were two different No Mercies in 99, but point I'm trying to make, No Mercy, both of them in 99, 2000, 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, and just recently, 2016 will be this one. But all the other past installments are already up here on the channel. Check them out at your leisure. But again, today we're talking No Mercy 2016, which on the whole I thought was a great show, which is remembered oddly by having the main event go up on first, which I'll talk about why in a moment. But on the Kickoff Show, I don't really talk about the Kickoff Show matches too much here on WrestleRant, if only because it's separate from the broadcast itself. But they are on the network. It's just separate from the actual event. But on the Kickoff Show, real quickly, we had the Hype Bros and the American Alpha defeating the Ascension and the Vaudevillains in an 8-man tag team match. Kurt Hawkins was supposed to debut in the ring, make his in-ring debut. In-ring re-debut, I guess. I don't know how you would say it. For the SmackDown brand, but he did not. He trolled the audience and left. It was a bit of a waste of time, so it was announced earlier on in the evening that night of No Mercy that they were going to do the WWE Championship match first as opposed to last, because it was the most anticipated match on the card, save for maybe Ziggler and Miz. But Styles, Ambrose, and Cena, the triple threat match for the WWE title, went up on first because of the big debate that night between Clinton and Donald Trump, the big presidential Republican debate, which stirred up a lot of controversy. But because that was happening, I think starting at 9 Eastern time, they wanted to get the main event out of the way first so people watched it. Then the rest of the show, it's like, who cares? If they watch it, they watch it. It's, the age of the pay-per-view is over. It's the era of the WWE Network, so they can do whatever the hell they want. I would not have done that because Wyatt and Orton was not a good main event. I mean, it was a fine match, but it should not have been the main event. And, even Ziggler and Miz, they had an option there to have that close the show. Why they didn't, I don't know. But anyway, so they kicked off the show with the WWE Championship between AJ Styles, the triple threat match. He was the current champion at that time. AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, and John Cena. The feud had been built up so well. AJ Styles beating Dean Ambrose for the belt at Backlash the month prior, which I talked about here on the channel many months ago, before Backlash 2017, excuse me. And Cena had just come back after Styles beat him clean also at SummerSlam a few months prior. So the clash of three separate entities all chasing and trying to make history. Cena, if he won here, would have become a 16-time WWE champion. Styles and Cena had great chemistry. Styles and Ambrose had great chemistry. Ambrose and Cena we had not seen too much of up to this point. I think it was right prior to No Mercy, right before No Mercy, that Ambrose beat Cena clean on an episode of SmackDown, which was surprising. And also a really, really good match. So yeah, Ambrose teasing, going heel at various points in the build-up to this pay-per-view bout. He never did. I thought they were planting the seeds for a future face-off between Ambrose and Cena. We never got it, unfortunately. But still, the match was fantastic. This is why it should have gone on last, because it stole the show. It was a fucking phenomenal match. The crowd was into it. They got over 20 minutes of in-ring time. All three guys shined. A lot of great near falls, even early on. Not even down the stretch. Like, the entire match was fucking phenomenal. The whole match was exciting and electric, and the crowd loved every second of it. Great match. In the end, Dean Ambrose getting laid out by an AA off the top rope at the hands of John Cena. It looked like Cena had the championship won before Styles flew in there with a steel chair, hit Cena over the back with it, or in the gut, then over the back and pinned him for the clean 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles still the WWE champion. And of course, there's no disqualifications in a triple threat scenario. So, phenomenal match. Another, no pun intended, another phenomenal title defense by AJ Styles as WWE champion. That would keep the feud alive between AJ and Dean Ambrose heading into the remainder of the fall season. After that, we had Nikki Bella and Carmella going one-on-one after Carmella attacked Nikki Bella shortly after her SummerSlam return. They did a whole double turn with them, which I thought was great. Nikki Bella was long overdue for a change in character, and Carmella just wasn't clicking as a babyface, so doing the double turn was the best thing to happen to these two. And it turned into a decent match. Wasn't a great match. The crowd was pretty dead for it, to be honest with you. But it was a decent match. Nikki Bella won. I would have put Carmella over personally. But Carmella did get a bunch of wins over Nikki Bella in the build-up to this bout. But it was still a good match, considering Carmella, even at that point, was still not very good. I thought she fared well. Nikki Bella got a good match out of her, and it was a nice way to further their feud. And they would continue to feud through the remainder of the fall, a lot like Styles and Ambrose. After that, for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, Heath Slater and Rhino defeating the Usos to hold on to the championships. Another good match. Very similar to their Backlash bout, the Usos continue to kill it as heels. Slater and Rhino were just beginning their reign as champions, so keeping the belts on them was obviously ideal. Good match, nothing too exciting about it. 10 minutes long, the crowd was into Slater and Rhino. They got the clean win, and that was it. Baron Corbin and Jack Swagger, I think, was supposed to be on the Kickoff Show before they thought, hey, we don't have enough matches. We're going to have to bump this up a bit. They only had already, let me see, I think 6 matches on the card before Corbin and Swagger were added to the main card. So they had a match on SmackDown before the pay-per-view. I think the Tuesday SmackDown before the event, where Swagger beat Corbin. But the finish was that Corbin was going for the bottom rope, and the referee thought he was tapping out, but he was actually reaching for the bottom rope, so he called for the bell. So kind of it was a fluky finish, but it was, I guess, kind of clever. I don't know, but they did set up the rematch on this show, which was a good match. Again, crowd really wasn't all that into it. Swagger had been fucking damaged goods for so long. I don't know why anyone else would think he was, credible at this point, so obviously no one bought into him legitimately beating Baron Corbin clean. And Corbin was on the rise. He was stacking up victories one after another. Got the victory here as he should have with a very impressive end of days. It was a good match, nothing too exciting, but they got the job done. I think Swagger's final televised match was on SmackDown when he got beat by Baron Corbin on SmackDown, I think 9 days after this. And then he remained under contract with the company through like February or March, but he was pretty much gone by that point. So he had not appeared on TV for many, many months. But this was still, a good match for what it was. And Swagger, he meant nothing at this point. So attempting to build him back up really served no purpose. But still got the job done. Corbin got a credible victory, and it served its purpose, like I said. For the Intercontinental Championship, The Miz defending against Dolph Ziggler. It was a title versus career match. So if Ziggler lost, he would have to leave the WWE and retire, which actually got people buying into the stipulation. There were a lot of people, you'd be surprised, that thought Ziggler was losing. There were rumors that he was looking into backstage positions, that his contract was up, which is a lie, because it's not up for another few weeks, I don't think, anyway. So, but I figured he would win, and he did, and I wasn't too high on Miz dropping the belt at this point. It was an amazing moment. The crowd popped huge for Ziggler winning. I guess he needed to win at some point. And they got me to care about Ziggler. For a hot minute, they got me to care about Dolph Ziggler. So kudos to them, but I thought Miz was doing such a phenomenal job, and he did end up winning the belt back like a few weeks later. But I would have just kept the belt on him and had him break the Honky Tonk Man's record as the longest single reign as IC champion. I guess they still could with his current reign, but, assuming he retains on Sunday. But regardless, this was a great match, just an excellent match with a lot of great emotion. A bit slow early on, but they built to a stellar second half with interference from Maurice and the Spirit Squad, and Ziggler had the odds stacked against him. I liked the little storytelling elements. Maurice gave Miz the spray, which caused Ziggler the win twice before prior to this point, and he kicked out. And then Miz with this awesome near fall. Again, no pun intended, but the Spirit Squad got involved. Ziggler laid out Mikey, and then Kenny dodged the super kick, and then out of nowhere, Miz hits the skull-crushing finale on Ziggler, and Ziggler kicked out at 2 7/8. I thought that was awesome. So the rest of the match was really, really good. Maurice and Spirit Squad got booted from ringside, and as soon as they did, Miz got distracted. Ziggler hits the super kick for the 1-2-3 new Intercontinental Champion. Great moment. The crowd ate it up. It was a phenomenal match. Really the last stellar match I can remember Ziggler having, but it was really, really good for what it was worth. So again, loved it. I wished Miz would have retained, but Ziggler winning wasn't bad either, so I thought that was great. Alexa Bliss was supposed to contend for the SmackDown Women's Championship on this show, but Becky Lynch got hurt. It didn't have anything to do with wrestling, apparently. I never really found out what that injury was, but Lynch was on the shelf for a month. They didn't take the championship off her. They just had their No Mercy match on SmackDown instead in Glasgow about a month later. But instead, Alexa faced Naomi. So you would think Alexa would win and, in building momentum to eventually facing Becky for the belt. But she lost, actually. The match wasn't that good. The finish came off. It looked like it was botched. I doubt it was. But I'm sure Naomi was supposed to win. But it looked a bit fluky. She won with like a weird roll-up. The match really wasn't that good at all. And it was like, why the fuck would Alexa lose? But then it became evident that they build to a rematch 8 days later on SmackDown, like I said, with Naomi and Bliss, where the winner would get a shot at the championship against Becky on SmackDown a month later. So obviously Alexa won that, and that was a much better bout. So they were trying to stretch it out by having Naomi win. I understand that, but this match just did not come off all too well. It wasn't terrible, but for the 5 minutes they were given, it wasn't smooth. The crowd didn't really care, and the finish was a bit odd. And then the main event, Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt. They got 15 minutes and might as well have been 30 because that's what it felt like. I was looking forward to the match because they had never before faced off one-on-one. The feud sucked up to this point. They just didn't have any in-ring chemistry. This match was not quite as bad as the WrestleMania match earlier this year, but it was still pretty boring and still pretty dull. Bottom line, it should not have been the main event. This match would have been better off in the middle of the show, and maybe that's why people are so harsh on it, because it did close the show, and it just wasn't good. I mean, I remember being somewhat entertained by it at the time, but watching it back, which is the whole purpose of WrestleRant, of this show, it wasn't very good. Thankfully, they did salvage it by having not only Bray Wyatt win, but Luke Harper return too. So Orton was about to hit Wyatt with the RKO. Lights go out, and when the lights go back on, Luke Harper's in the middle of the ring. Now, Luke Harper had been out with an injury for, I think, 6 months by that point, 6-7 months. So him coming back was a pretty big deal. People were excited. They gave him a pretty big reaction. And Wyatt capitalized, and he didn't touch Orton, so there was no DQ. The referee saw all of this go down, and while Luke Harper was in the ring, he never touched Orton. So, of course, he should not have been disqualified, Bray Wyatt, that is. So anyway, Bray Wyatt hits Orton with Sister Abigail, and gets the big victory. His first pay-per-view win in quite some time. His first singles pay-per-view win, I think well over a year, since he had beaten Roman Reigns at Battleground of, I think, 2014 that was, or 2015, I think. So the right person won. They kept the feud alive, which was kind of shitty. But Orton did end up joining the Wyatt family soon after. I mean, it was all a ruse, obviously. But, of course, it would stretch out the feud a bit longer, which ended up awful by WrestleMania time earlier this year. But Orton being a part of the Wyatt family was, for a time, pretty compelling and pretty exciting. Anyway, for the final half of 2016. So, overall, I really thought this was a great show. I thought the top 2 matches delivered, which is why this show is must-see for the WWE Championship match, which should have closed the show, if not Ziggler and Miz. Both those matches were fantastic. Wyatt and Orton was very boring, but again, the right person went over, which is why I can't give this like a 2 thumbs up show, because the main event was pretty dull. Naomi and Bliss was easily the weakest match on the entire show, but they did build to a better match, I think a week and a half later on SmackDown. Corbin and Swagger was good, Bella and Carmella was good, and Slater and Rhino versus the Usos was decent as well. So overall, I would say it was a pretty good show. SmackDown once again hitting out of the park with another great exclusive event. Here's hoping Hell in a Cell this coming year is better than the last couple SmackDown shows, because Battleground sucked. Money in the Bank was pretty good. Backlash was just meh. I mean, it was a good show, but it felt like a 3-hour episode of SmackDown, like just a glorified episode of SmackDown. So here's hoping that is not the case. So we'll see. But No Mercy 2016, although this year it will be a Raw exclusive event, and last year's was SmackDown, you should still watch the show before the show on Sunday, because this was a top-notch show from SmackDown. And in my opinion, one of the better pay-per-views of all of 2016. And of the brand extension so far, in my opinion. So anyway, guys, that is my review of No Mercy 2016. Thank you for checking it out. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for daily content. We'll be back next Tuesday, I believe, with my review of NXT TakeOver Respect from October of 2015. Very much looking forward to rewatching and reviewing that show for you guys right here on WrestleRant. And then I think the week after that, we have my Hell in a Cell? No, what's the October show? You got No Mercy. Yeah, Hell in a Cell is in early October. So I think it's going to be my Hell in a Cell 2016 review 2 weeks from now, which I was in attendance for last year. So I'm looking forward to watch, which I have not watched back, by the way. It was not a great show. So I look forward to watching it back and giving my 2 cents on it a year removed from the event. So anyway, guys, have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.